Catherine Sanford built a career as a technology executive at global powerhouse Trimble over more than 20 years, living and working in New Zealand, in Europe and the United States. Since returning to New Zealand, she's primarily supported early-stage tech companies and founders as an angel investor, mentor, executive board advisor and director. And she's been involved with, obviously, award-winning UBCO in various capacities since 2016. Currently serves as the executive chair. It is with enormous pleasure that we welcome to the stage tonight the wonderful Catherine Sanford. We'll check the mic and then I'll disappear discreetly.
All right, we'll go with this one. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Taranaki te maunga, ko Kapuni te awa, no taronga aho. Ko Catherine Sanford, toko ingoa, no reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā, tātou katoa. Thanks for having me. I'm absolutely delighted to be here tonight sharing the story of UBCO, and we're 10 years into this journey since our first, or since the idea was first born in a couple of inventors back in 2013. No journey's a straight line, and starting a company is certainly not a linear journey. When we look back at UBCO, even in hindsight, it's been a pretty squiggly line. It's about turning up every day, rolling up your sleeves and really getting into it. It's hands-on, it's demanding, and it's really front-facing. It's really, really different to the order and structures that we see in corporate, and certainly from my own experience working in a US-based corporate for more than 2 decades. This life in startup land is something pretty special and pretty unique. We have a history of innovation on 2 wheels in New Zealand, and I'm not sure if anyone in the room is aware, but UBCO connects to a really amazing story of that 2-wheel innovation. Farmer Johnny Callender, back in 1963, as a Taranaki farmer, invented the very first farm bike in the world. And then he was followed by Burt Munro, who set land speed records, and his story is quite well known, as is that of John Britton and the records set at Daytona and in the Isle of Man. And here we are with our inventors, Daryl and Anthony, pictured here in the innovation area of field days back in 2014. Originally designed as a farm bike, Daryl Neal and Anthony Clyde actually scribbled the sketch of the first 2x2, which really doesn't look any different than the one today, or not too much different anyway, on the back of an envelope in a restaurant in China. And they came back to New Zealand and put this thing together before entering it in the Field Days Innovation Awards. It was first launched then almost 10 years ago, and we're pretty proud of that history. Insight-led design is something that we pride ourselves on at UBCO. And the really great thing about people who've grown up in farming designing products is that they really understand the customer because they really are the customer. UBCO was designed by Daryl and Anthony to be lightweight, to be durable, easily repairable, customisable for lots of different types of farm work. And they were also really conscious, even back then, of the impact that the product would have on the environment. They wanted it to be light on the planet and to be more accessible to many more riders. Up until just a handful of years ago, I'd never been on a motorcycle. I was absolutely terrified of being on motorised 2 wheels. But as a new rider, I have found this bike to be particularly easy to ride And the conversations that I've been able to have with a number of women who are really, really frightened of this type of experience has opened up opportunities for lots of people to have mini adventures and to put this product to work in their own contexts every day. One of the things that we've learned, and I've certainly learned being involved in this business now for several years, is that doing hardware is really hard, and doing hardware from New Zealand and taking on the world is particularly hard. It's a continuous improvement game, and we've, with UBCO, gone from Generation 1 that we saw sort of in the year or two after our Field Days Innovation Prize win to now at Generation 5, and we're moving pretty quickly to Generation 6 of the product. There's been a huge number of improvements that have occurred over that time. We see plenty of companies getting bikes to version 1, to very first prototype, and to be really excited about what they might be able to achieve. But the real challenges come to get to the next version and the next version, and to meet the needs of your expanding customer base. The fact that UBCO has been able to develop a vehicle that is road registerable in almost every country of the world. We've gone through a sequence of product innovations to produce the various generations of the product and to improve performance over time is something that we're extremely proud of. But it takes time, it takes investment, and getting investment is pretty hard going. And it takes a lot of patience. So for those of you out there who are just beginning on your journey, it's a long and squiggly road, but stick with it because where you get to in the end is pretty special. We've gone from batch manufacturing to now continuous manufacturing. In the beginning, we were running very, very small batch productions. 50 bikes in the first one, 150 in the next one. We got up to 300 and we thought that was pretty great. But it's slow and it's expensive. And when you're creating demand in the marketplace, it's pretty hard to keep up with that when you've only got a certain number of vehicles to sell and you've got to sell them to be able to produce the next lot. If your focus is scale, which ours always has been, and we've always had aspirations to be a massive, massive global company, then you need to get to continuous manufacturing, and that in itself is a journey. We started off with bicycle components. We've had to switch out the entire supply chain to provide us with parts and components that are suitable for a motor vehicle, and that in itself has been quite a journey. We've really built supply chain again from scratch. But the power of partnership has proven for us to be extremely powerful. And for those of you out there in the room who are again just beginning your journey, the importance of networking, making connections, looking after those connections is critically important. You just never know who might show up and be able to give you a lead into something pretty special. And that's what happened with us in our now relationship with significant investor and our supply chain and manufacturing partner, TPK. They're a Taiwanese-based manufacturing powerhouse supplying some of the largest companies in the world, I think Apple and others. They're multi-billion dollars in revenue and they have about 15,000 employees. And they work with us, a little wee tiny Mount Maunganui-based company, where they believe in what we're dreaming of doing, and they're there beside us. So they've not only invested, but they're committed to manufacturing to the highest level of quality and delivering what we need to the market. We've had venture capital investment from New Zealand, and those partnerships and other investment relationships have also been important. It's a really long journey, and so again, developing relationships and looking after those relationships is important. We're really still a startup. I know there's different categories in the awards this evening, and we think of ourselves now as really starting to scale up, but we're still really a startup. We're still agile. We still think relatively small in terms of the way that we function, while we have massive aspirations to do great things out there in the world. We're very, very focused on growth. Making steps to scale is a really big one, and it comes with a new risk profile. And so there's lots of things to consider in going out into the world and getting on and doing big things. We've got to raise more money, and that is an ongoing sort of journey in itself. We also have to understand that growth takes time, and the relationships that drive growth are built over time. And so it's not just a one deal here and a one deal there, but it's connecting the dots and joining things together to really scale. It's not just about saying we're going to America and hitting America with product. It's about being really considerate about where in America you start, which city or which suburb of which city are you going to target with your product, or in the agricultural context, which state represents the greatest opportunity. We're not going to take on the whole Midwest at once. We're going to hit Kansas or another central state and get that right before we take on the rest of the world. We've had an expanding customer base over time, though. We started with farmers, and Field Days has played a big part in that. Agriculture is really core to our business. We were designed by farmers, for farmers, on farm, and we've continued to develop the product with that in mind. And in actual fact, doing that in New Zealand and working with New Zealand farmers has enabled us to take a product to market that can really go anywhere. This environment is really, really rugged, and the 2x2 has been really put through its paces by people on farm and in rural-centric environments in New Zealand, really putting it through its paces. So it really enables us to do a lot of what we do out there in the wider world. We've expanded into adventure. We have a lot of adventurers out there in the world who use the bike just for fun. And we have a lot of fleet customers now too, where we're selling multiple units into a single customer and testing different business models in that context now too. The product attributes, as I mentioned, accessibility, the fact that a whole range of people who've never ridden before are able to use this product, the safety of it, the utility of it, and the sustainability attributes that sit within the product are wanted by a broad range of customers, and this opens up lots of other opportunities for us across different industries. Over time, the customer base has expanded, as I say, from agriculture to fleet to tourism and adventurers in lots of different parts of the world. We've had a global sort of mindset from the beginning. We always wanted to take on the world from New Zealand. We know and we're proud of being a New Zealand company, but our real growth potential is in the US and in Europe, and we're really beginning to expand into those market areas. The market opportunity is somewhere in the range of $50 billion, and our objective is to take a decent chunk of that over time. It's really massive. We operate out of 5 locations today, our Mount Maunganui headquarters, an office in Melbourne, Australia, our European headquarters in Copenhagen, a small team in the UK, and then our US headquarters in Oregon. To get to market, we've needed help, and the channel has been something that we've really worked hard on. We've gone from a single channel and doing things one-to-one to having an omni-channel approach. We've now got over 260 dealers in different parts of the world. We've got direct fleet customers into corporates, and we have a direct-to-consumer, you can buy on the website type of setup as well. As we scale, we're focused firstly on a really strong dealer network, secondly on the pipeline of fleet customers, and thirdly on the direct-to-consumer sales channel, although that's picking up quite quickly in some countries. Each channel is different, each channel has different drivers, and we've got to manage each one in a different way. We believe that each is important, though, to achieve the growth that we want to, and so we're motivated to keep those moving in parallel. Critically important to have the right people. It's certainly all about the product, but having the right team. And actually, I was just talking with Brendan a minute ago about being willing to sort of keep the team moving and evolving and growing. I've actually just stepped down in the last couple of weeks as Executive Chair of UBCO because the time had come to pass the baton to someone else with the next level of expertise to take it into the future. I've been 5 years in that role, and it's time to move on. And I think it's really important as we think about starting a business that we're open in our communication around the need to evolve a team, and that if you're the founder and CEO today, that in 3 or 5 years' time you may not be suited to that role, but that's okay. There's always a place for you in the business, and even if there's not a place for you in the business, there's certainly a place for you in the ecosystem to take your expertise and offer it up to other companies that are just getting off the ground. At UBCO, we've been fortunate to have an incredibly dedicated team of people and an incredible product. One of the very few products in our space that is firstly road registerable, but secondly designed for a whole heap of off-road and fleet applications. New Zealand's a really great place to start from, but the bigger opportunities offshore. And for us right now, the timing is perfect in terms of the green energy transition and the electrification of fleets that's happening the world over. Above all, it's critical to have the right mindset. As a team at UBCO, we're committed to continually delivering on our growth potential. The road to this point, and inevitably the road ahead, will continue to be squiggly and challenging, but we've got an ambitious set of objectives and a commitment to seeing those through. I think it's interesting to note too that in a startup everyone sells. There's a great line in Peter Thiel's book, 0 to 1. When you look around and don't see any salespeople, you are the salespeople. Sales is not a department, it's a mindset. And when you start out small, you've got to be out there selling all the time. You wear the t-shirt. I love the branding that our marketing agency did, where I can wear a suit jacket and have the logo front and centre rather than out to the left. I don't have to really introduce myself anymore because the brand's quite well known and people come up to me and ask me about it. So I'm selling all the time. Everyone in UBCO is selling. And on our stand here at Field Days, I'm so proud to have arrived today and seen members of the team who've only been with the company for a few weeks in there talking to customers and potential customers about the 2x2 and how amazing it is. They're all getting exposure to the market, to customers, and they're all out there selling. I mentioned the green energy transition. We're seeing the need to transition from fossil fuels to green energy, and it's one of the largest infrastructure shifts that we've seen in human history. Emissions need to be reduced significantly by 2030 and to reach net zero by 2050. Fleet electrification is central to this, and we're certainly part of the solution. Micromobility is also a global trend. Perhaps we're not seeing it to the degree in New Zealand as we are in other parts of the world, but you visit cities like Amsterdam and Copenhagen and even London now, and two wheels are starting to dominate inner cities. Retail's shifted online, and the increase in deliveries that we're seeing in urban areas is directly related to that shift. The challenge is that our cities aren't really designed for it, and last mile delivery is offering up a whole new lot of opportunities for us. So again, we've gone from being on farm to being, and having tested on farm, being suitable for really heavy duty applications in last mile delivery, where a vehicle like ours might do 60,000 kilometres over 3 years. It's pretty cool. We're seeing fleet electrification and decarbonisation in cities. in a typical passenger vehicle emitting 4.6 metric tonnes of carbon dioxide per year. Transportation accounts for nearly 28% of global emissions, and so new forms of transportation like ours are really essential to supporting the global decarbonisation needs. Everything looks easy in hindsight. We're so grateful to have the opportunity to be back here at Field Days, and I'm certainly grateful to have the opportunity to speak to you this evening and be part of this, a wonderful event, which is where we really started. Someone once said that we tend to overestimate what we can achieve in a year, but we underestimate what we can achieve in 10. At UBCO, we're very proud of what we've been able to achieve in our 10 years. And I certainly can't wait to see what we're able to achieve in the next 10. I spoke recently with a Tauranga-based manufacturer, and they've been in business for 45 years. They've been grinding away for more than 4 decades. The CEO told me that they've had 4 goes at trying to crack the US, and they think they might have just done it. So perhaps in 10 years' time, we'll be halfway there. We've still got a long way to go, but it's an exciting road to be on. I think just in closing, if you keep turning up, anything's possible. It's truly exciting to be a New Zealand-based startup at the 10-year mark. It's exciting to come from a country where our most valuable company on the stock exchange is design-led. At UBCO, we're really proud of our design approach to product development. It's inspiring to look at companies like Rocket Labs and LanzaTech that have listed on the NASDAQ in recent years. In the end, again, the journey's never a straight line, but you get there based on an unwavering vision, persistence and perseverance, and plenty of hard work. Peter Beck once said that you don't get to Mars working 8 till 5, and there's certainly a lot of press today about getting balance in your life and all those sorts of things, but I think if you're on this journey, it's important to realise that it's tough, and it is not a normal working day of hours that you're setting yourself up to expect. At a glance, we're targeting a $50 billion market opportunity. We've got more than 5,000 vehicles in market already, and more than 260 partners around the world helping us out. I hope to be back in 10 years' time telling you that we've more than doubled on our achievements to date, but let's see. Thank you to everyone that's been involved in the UBCO journey. Thanks to Field Days for having us back again, and I wish all the participants in the awards tonight good luck. Fingers crossed for you. Thank you.
Brilliant, Catherine. Thank you so much. And just here's a wonderful little gift on behalf of all of us.
Gift.
It's massive. I was quite surprised by quite how weighty it was, but then I'm very frail. Please, a round of applause for the wonderful Catherine Sanford. Hey, and thank you, Catherine. Look, quite often we'll look at something like UBCO and we'll think, geez, they've cracked it. But thank you for the kind of the transparency, for your stamina, and mostly for your aspiration. We really do appreciate it. Please, again, for UBCO and Catherine Sanford, a round of applause.